entering the space of nothingness. Beloved ones, before we enter the mystery of the zero state, let us begin with something very simple, yet very profound. When I say feel nothing, I am not asking you to suppress your emotions, not to become indifferent, not to turn into a cold block of ice. No, I am inviting you to taste a deeper dimension of your being, a space where feelings rise and fall like waves, but you remain the vast ocean underneath. Most people live as if they are small puddles, a little wind and they are disturbed, a little heat and they evaporate, a small insult and they break, a small compliment and they inflate. But you are not a puddle. You are the sky. When I was a child, I discovered this by accident. I would sit silently under a neem tree near my village. The world around me was full of noise, cattle, villages, the marketplace, arguments, gossip. Yet inside me, there was a space untouched by all this, a vastness, a clarity, a purity that felt like fresh morning air. And in that space, I realized something beautiful. Nothing could disturb me unless I allowed it. This became the seed of my entire journey. Feeling nothing means returning to this original innocence. It means seeing feelings as guests, not as owners of your house. They come, they go, but you remain the host. A man who lives by his feelings alone is like a leaf in the wind, blown here and there without direction, without strength, without dignity. But a man who has discovered the zero state, he becomes like a mountain. The wind can play around him, but it cannot move him. Clouds may cover him, storms may roar, but his roots remain deep in silence. This silence is not dull. It is alive, vibrant, warm, compassionate. It is the silence that gives birth to true intelligence. People often ask me, Osho, how can nothingness be powerful? They misunderstand the beauty of the word nothing. Nothingness is not emptiness in the negative sense. It is no thingness. The absence of clutter, the absence of unnecessary noise. In that space, your awareness sharpens. Your presence becomes magnetic. Your decisions become pure because they arise from clarity, not chaos. When you are full of feelings, you are entangled. When you are empty, you are free. The zero state is like wiping the dust from a mirror. Suddenly, everything becomes clear. You see yourself without distortion. You see life without complication. I am not telling you about a philosophy. I am telling you about my lived experience. Every moment of my life, whether I was in solitude or surrounded by thousands, I stayed rooted in this nothingness. People projected love, hate, devotion, anger onto me, but inside I remained a calm lake. Their waves could not touch my depth. If you can learn this art, even a drop of it, your life will transform. You will stop reacting. You will start seeing. You will not be pushed by the world. You will respond with grace. To feel nothing is to feel everything with freedom. It is to love without fear, to live without burden, to simply be. The birth of the zero state, beloved ones. The zero state is not an achievement, it is a remembrance. It is not something you create through effort or discipline. It is something that is already beating within your heart, waiting patiently for you to notice it. The world has simply layered too much noise on top of it. When you are born, you come as pure silence. Not a single thought, not a single fear, not a single ambition, just a soft glow of awareness. Watch a newborn child. There is no tension on the face, no anxiety in the eyes. The child is still connected to the source, that is the zero state. But slowly, society begins its work. Parents fill you with their fears. Teachers fill you with their expectations. Religion fills you with its commandments. Culture fills you with its ideals. By the time you grow up, your inner space becomes crowded like a marketplace. Everybody shouting, nobody listening. The zero state gets covered like a diamond buried under layers of dust. But the diamond remains. It cannot be destroyed. In my childhood, I discovered this by simply sitting alone, away from the world's noise. I would wander into the fields or climb trees, not to escape life, but to hear life more clearly. When you sit silently, without purpose, without movement, something miraculous happens. The dust settles. Thoughts begin to slow, like clouds drifting away after a storm. And beneath them, the sky appears vast, blue, infinite. That infinite sky is the zero state. Do not imagine it as emptiness in the sense of loneliness. It is emptiness in the sense of fullness, a fullness that has no boundaries, a fullness in which even your own identity dissolves. People think that to find peace, they must go on pilgrimages, read scriptures, chant mantras. These things may help, but they are not the core. The zero state is not found in doing, it is found in non doing. It blossoms in the pauses, in the intervals, in the spaces between your breaths. Once, when I was a small boy, someone asked me what I wanted to become in life. Children usually answer doctor, engineer, teacher, but I said, I want to become nothing. They laughed. They thought I was being foolish. But I was speaking from the silence I have tasted. To become nothing is the greatest becoming, because only then can everything flow through you. The zero state is the ultimate freedom. When you stop clinging to identities, something magical happens. You become fluid, you become open, you become available to existence. In this state, you do not resist life, you allow it, you do. not fight experiences. You watch them. You do not cling to pleasure. You do not run from pain. You remain centered. And from this center, every action becomes effortless. Every word becomes pure. Every movement becomes graceful. The zero state is the womb of transformation. It is the space where the false dissolves and the true appears. It is the place where you meet yourself for the very first time. Beloved ones, the zero state is not far. It is just behind the curtain of your thoughts. Lift the curtain, and you will find your original face shining again. The mind's illusion and the ego's trick. Beloved ones, the mind is a marvelous tool, but a dangerous master. It is useful for solving problems, planning, remembering, but when it takes control of your inner world, it becomes a tyrant. And the greatest trick this tyrant plays is very subtle. It convinces you that you are it. The mind whispers, I am you, your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions. And because you have lived with it for so long, you start believing this lie. But the moment you believe it, you become a prisoner. The ego lives on this illusion. The ego is not a real entity. It is a shadow made of thoughts, memories, opinions, fears, desires. It is like a house built from smoke, beautiful from far away, but empty when you touch it. And yet you cling to it as if it were your very existence. In my childhood, I discovered this illusion very clearly. Whenever anger came, I could feel it rising like a fire growing inside. But something within me remained separate, watching. I would observe the anger like a scientist observing a chemical reaction. And slowly, the anger would dissolve. Then I realized something profound. If I can watch the anger, then I am not the anger. The watcher and the watched cannot be the same. The same happened with joy. People think joy is good, anger is bad. But both are disturbances. Both take you away from your center. When someone praised me, I could feel the ego trying to swell like a balloon. But I would stand aside and look at it, and immediately the balloon deflated. Praise and blame lost their power over me. This watching became my shield, not a shield that blocks life, but a shield that reveals the truth behind every experience. The mind creates drama because drama keeps the ego alive. The ego needs constant fuel, approval, possessions, accomplish. It thrives on comparison, competition, and control. If it does not get attention, it starts dying. And that death feels frightening because the ego has convinced you it is you. Beloved ones, the mind is an expert magician. It knows how to create illusions of importance, illusions of identity, illusions of purpose. It tells you, if you lose me, you will be empty. But actually, when you lose the ego, you become full for the first time. you become real. The zero state is born when you step out of this hypnotic play. When thoughts arise, let them arise. Just don't get caught. When emotions appear, let them appear. Just don't claim them. When reactions try to pull you, watch them without moving. Slowly, the ego becomes weaker, like a flame without fuel. And then a moment of tremendous clarity arrives. You are not the mind. You never were. You are the vast sky in which the clouds of thought drift. This realization is the beginning of true freedom. It is the moment you take back your throne from the mind and the ego. It is the moment you become the watcher, the one who cannot be touched by praise or blame, success or failure, pleasure or pain. From that moment onward, life becomes simple again. You move without attachment. You act without fear. You feel without being consumed. This is the power of seeing through the mind's illusion. This is the beginning of the zero state, the power of feeling nothing. Beloved ones, to feel nothing is one of the most misunderstood experiences in human consciousness. People hear these words and instantly imagine a kind of numbness, a deadness, a lack of passion. But the truth is the exact opposite. To feel nothing means you are no longer controlled by feelings. You still feel, but you do not become the feeling. You experience emotions, but you don't drown in them. Feeling nothing is the highest form of strength. When you stop reacting, the world loses its grip over you. Nobody can provoke you, nobody can seduce you, nobody can manipulate you. You become sovereign, whole, complete. Throughout my life, I have been showered with both extremes, immense love and immense hatred. People touched my feet as if I were a god. Others wanted to see me silenced, destroyed. Some worshipped me, some condemned me, but inside nothing moved once you taste tea. He, zero state, both praise and criticism become like rain falling on a lotus leaf, beautiful to see, but unable to stick. Feeling nothing gives you a certain inner cleanliness. It is like taking a bath in the deepest silence. When the world cannot enter you, when its noise cannot reach your center, suddenly you feel light, unburdened, fresh. You walk through life with the ease of a breeze passing through a forest. Imagine a man holding a cup full to the brim. He walks carefully, trembling, afraid that even a small bump will spill the liquid. This is how most people live, full of emotions, overflowing, full of fears, trembling, full of hopes shaking. Every small event spills their inner peace. But the man who has nothing to spill walks freely. He has nothing to lose. This is the beauty of the zero state. To feel nothing is not detachment from life. It is intimacy with life. When you are no longer tossed around by your reactions, you finally begin to see life as it is. A sunset becomes more vivid. A flower becomes more fragrant. a moment becomes more alive. Why? Because your mind is not interfering. Your emotions are not distorting reality. Your ego is not demanding, comparing, interpreting. You are simply present. In this state, every experience becomes pure, unfiltered. When a person is ruled by emotions, they cannot see clearly. Anger blinds, fear paralyzes, desire distorts, jealousy poisons. But in the zero state, all these emotions may arise, but they pass through you like light through a crystal without leaving any residue. This is why I say the man who feels nothing wins everything. Not because he conquers the world by force, but because he conquers himself by understanding. When you feel nothing, you stop chasing victories. And that is when victory comes on its own. You stop craving love, and love begins to flow toward you naturally. You stop seeking power, and power begins to radiate from you effortlessly. Feeling nothing gives you presence, and presence is the highest magnetism in existence. Beloved ones, remember this. Feeling nothing is not emptiness, it is clarity. It is the strength to remain unshaken. It is the courage to be yourself. It is the door to freedom. Living the zero state in the world. Beloved ones, many people believe that inner silence is only possible in caves, in forests, in monasteries, far away from the noise of life. They imagine the zero state as something delicate, something that can only survive in perfect conditions. But silence that depends on conditions is not real silence. Peace that needs protection is not real peace. The zero state is not an escape from the world. It is a way of walking through the world without losing yourself. Life will always remain life, full of noise, full of challenges, full of movement. But when your center is still, the outer world becomes just a play, a drama, a theater in which you participate without getting entangled. In my own life, I lived among thousands. Crowds gathered around me every day. People came with hopes, with problems, with tears, with expectations. Their energy was like a storm sometimes, but inside there was only silence, like a flame burning without flicker. You don't need to hide from life to experience peace. You need to bring peace into life. When you walk through the marketplace, walk with awareness. When you sit with your family, sit with presence. When you work, work with totality. Externally, you may be moving, speaking, deciding, but internally, remain anchored like a tree whose roots reach deep into the earth, even as its branches dance in the wind. This is the art of the zero state, movement on the outside, stillness on the inside. It is easy to be peaceful when you are alone. Any child can do that. Bu 2. Stay peaceful when someone is shouting at you, when life is unpredictable, when circumstances turn against you. This is the real test, the real flowering. A man in the zero state does not react, he responds. These two words look similar, but they are worlds apart. Reaction is mechanical, response is conscious. Reaction is driven by emotion, response is born from clarity. Reaction keeps you trapped in the past. Response keeps you rooted in the present. When you live consciously, you begin to notice small miracles. A simple conversation becomes rich. A routine action becomes sacred. Even a moment of waiting at a traffic light becomes an opportunity to breathe, to return, to center. People think spirituality requires rituals, ceremonies, special clothes, special words. But real spirituality is woven into ordinary life. It is in the way you wake up in the morning, the way you drink your tea, the way you speak to a stranger, the way you close your eyes before sleep. The zero state is not once a day meditation. It is a continuous remembering. A remembering that you are the watcher, not the waves. When someone angers you, simply observe the anger. Feel it rise and fall. When someone praises you, observe the sweetness. Feel it arise and disappear. Do not cling. Do not resist. Just watch. Slowly, life becomes very light. Your footsteps become softer. Your heart becomes more open. Your mind becomes spacious. And then you discover the deepest truth. The world does not disturb you. Your own unconsciousness disturbs you. Become conscious, and the world becomes a playground instead of a battlefield. Beloved ones, learn to live the zero state in the midst of life. This is true mastery. This is true freedom. This is true living. Awakening to your real victory. Beloved ones, victory is a word the world has distorted. People think victory means stand-I, ning above others, proving something, achieving something. But all victories in the outer world are fragile. They depend on circumstances, on others' opinions, on results, on recognition. Such victories cannot give you peace. They cannot give you freedom. They cannot give you fulfillment. Real victory is something entirely different. Real victory is victory over yourself. Victory over your restlessness. Victory over your reactions. Victory over your mind's noise. Victory over your own illusions. The man who feels nothing is not cold. He is complete. When you stop being controlled by emotions, you start being guided by awareness. Your actions become clear. Your choices become simple. Your direction becomes effortless. In the zero state, there is no confusion. There is only clarity, like a still lake reflecting the moon with perfect precision. You begin to see life not through the fog of emotion, but through the brilliance of awareness. Beloved ones, let me tell you something from my own journey. There were moments when the whole world celebrated me, and moments when the whole world condemned me. I saw both ends of human madness. Yet inside, nothing shifted. I remained the same. Because when you live from the zero state, the world's noise becomes like distant thunder, heard but never disturbing the silence within. True victory happens when the world can no longer shake you. The man in the zero state does not chase success, and that is why success begins to follow him. He does not chase love, and that is why love flows toward him effortlessly. He does not chase happiness, and that is why happiness becomes his natural fragrance. When you are empty of cravings, existence begins to fill you with treasures that cannot be taken away. When you stop demanding from life, life begins to give you more than you imagined. When you stop running after goals, your very presence becomes a magnet. This is the paradox of the zero state. By not seeking victory, you win the ultimate victory. A mind that feels nothing is a mind at rest. A heart that clings to nothing is a heart that is always free. A being that identifies with nothing becomes vast like the cosmos. This victory is not noisy, it does not need celebration, it does not need applause, it shines quietly like a candle in a dark room, small but capable of dispelling the entire darkness. Beloved ones, understand this. The world outside is unstable. People change, circumstances change, fortunes rise and fall. If your peace depends on the outer world, you will live in constant fear. But if your peace arises from within, not even an earthquake can shake you. Winning everything does not mean owning everything. It means nothing owns you. When you awaken to the zero state, you discover a freedom beyond all victories. You discover a joy that requires no reason. You discover a love that has no opposite. You discover a self that is boundless. This is the ultimate victory. The victory of consciousness over chaos. The victory of being over becoming. The victory of silence over noise. Beloved ones, feel nothing, and you will win everything because you will finally win yourself.